I wanted to give kind of an example tarot reading. Now, you may watch this and feel like it relates to you. Maybe you won't. It's not intended for a particular querent, and if it were, the style might be a little different, but broadly speaking, this is how I conduct a tarot reading. I'm going to do a three-card spread, and I've already shuffled these pretty well, but let me give it one more shuffle just so you know it's random. Hopefully you can hear the bridge off camera. Um, and a three-card reading, the way that I like to do it, I think of it as a beginning, middle, and end. Just like a story has a beginning, middle, and end, and you're in the middle of yours right now. So let's start there. The Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles are a suit associated with Earth and associated with the sensorium, the actual physical world you inhabit. Oftentimes, there will be a pentacle in a reading will have to do with money or resources. Sometimes just slightly abstracted resources such as education, information, business networks, etc. It can also be associated with, as opposed to what you feel or think, it can be associated with what you actually do. And when we see an ace card, we see this as a reminder of a sort of gift from the universe or a gift from God. As human beings, we have all manner of gifts, and one of them is our ability to navigate and manipulate the material world. Animals generally run on instinct. And so while a beaver can build an impressive dam, they never think to build a skyscraper using the same techniques, right? Whereas the human being is capable of of taking their solution to one material problem and porting it over to another. And so we see this card, it's a reminder that one has that gift of the human manipulation of the world. And I want to point out something in the symbology here. I see this kind of portal. We have a gray sky and we have a sort of hedge with a portal in it. And through that portal, it seems like there is some kind of other world, right? And what this should remind us of is in our life, um, we are granted certain material resources. This could be anything from an inheritance to a physical skill or talent to a network of people that we know, to a individualized access to some kind of bank of information, say. And this card is a reminder that it's our task to pick up those items and uh, construe them into something useful. And it is a reminder that if we do that, if we take the most advantage we can of the material world we've been gifted, we can actually transport ourselves and potentially our loved ones into another, for lack of a better term, another world. Okay. And so when I see this reading, if I was reading for a specific querent, I might try to kind of pose questions to them about how they're using their resources, how they're using their tangible real world gifts, and how they're using those to sort of build the portal to a better life, whatever that might mean for them. Now, that's the middle card. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's the circumstance of our question, if we're coming to this with a query. And the beginning card, the next card I'm going to lay down, has more to do with how we got here. What kicked this off? What were the inciting incidents? It might also have to do with something that we need to just realize we need to put behind us, something to leave behind and let go of. It may be also something that we should come to recognize that we've already accomplished. We can very much become preoccupied with this sense that we're constantly at work on something without necessarily recognizing that we've already accomplished the thing. So let's see what we get as a card. Okay. More pentacles, 10 of pentacles in this case. And this card is about convention, uh, quote unquote permanence, though of course nothing is ever quite permanent, and stability, and also generativity. This notion of, you know, we all would like to be, when we get into our old age, we would like to have a kind of accomplished our things and sort of luxuriate in the stability and that we've built and the sort of edifice we've constructed around us. And I think when we see it in this position, depending on sort of where you are in your life, this may mean slightly different things to you. But I think for, a person who's, middle-aged or younger, somebody who's maybe not quite into their retirement years, let's say, I would suggest that this card means in order to really seize the gifts that we have, the ace card, we need to somewhat let go of the end result that we're hoping for. We need to that does not mean that we don't want to point ourselves in a direction, but we should concentrate more on the present rather than the vision we have that is always going to be inaccurate and always unachievable in a certain sense. We need to let go of that sort of lust for permanence, stability, and convention in order that we can flexibly adapt to the world, right? If you think about that analogy I made about the beaver, um, are we just building a beaver dam because that's the track that we're on? Or are we building a beaver dam because that's what we actually need to do? Or better yet, should we be more flexible to the circumstances and think about what we can be building moment to moment in order to sort of survive, frankly, the ever dynamic world? Okay. The final card is um, uh, what we might call the end, and this doesn't mean death or the end of the world or anything like that, but the final playing out denouement of the story we're beginning to tell here. And when I see the Ace of Pentacles, what that might mean is when I see the Ace of Pentacles in the middle part, what this might mean to me is, okay, if I were able to really seize this gift of the pentacles, this gift of a mastery of the material world, whether that's again money, resources, information, education, my own behavior, whatever that might be, what might I look forward to if I manage to really seize that pentacle, and what ought or what should I be cautious of if I were to really seize that pentacle? And we'll see. Now we have the King of Pentacles. Very interesting that we get three pentacle cards, and perhaps, I'm sitting here now thinking as the querent, did I not shuffle properly? Why am I not getting a more dynamic reading with more suits and more interesting things to show you? But sometimes this is the message that needs to come across. The King of Pentacles, again, Pentacles, Earth sign having to do with the actual world and that one shade of abstraction. Um, the court card, there are four court cards for every suit. They're page, knight, king, and queen, depending on the deck. The names of those might change slightly. And when we think about the king slash queen, we're thinking about the most idealized version of that suit. And when it comes to the king specifically, we're thinking of that in terms of action. If we were to live out the best version of this suit, how is it that we would act? And the King of Pentacles, if we were to become the King of Pentacles, and I should say that, the goal for a truly actualized person would, in some ways, be the king and queen of all the suits, right? But the King of Pentacles specifically is somebody who is eminently reliable, very generous, pragmatic, not at the expense of, necessarily at the expense of creativity or spontaneity or anything like that, but genuinely has a sort of a worldly, experienced, wise manner of dispensing their own resources in their own life, right? You think about somebody who is good with money. That's somebody who, but good with money, but not greedy. That is somebody who is at least temporarily occupying the space of the King of Pentacles. So, what this suggests to us in this order with all three of these cards is if we can, uh, uh, if we can sort of put aside, at least temporarily, our expectations of stability, convention, and permanence, and really seize the gift of of manipulating, navigating, and making use of the material world around us will eventually reach a state. We can look forward to achieving a state of actual mastery of the resources, materials, information, business networks, etc. in the world around us, and be a somewhat of an inspirational role model of a person who is reliable, generous, and pragmatic.